What is our bit?
What is our bit? I'm sick of the bit being about the bit. Like, where's the originality in that?
I mean, I think it says something about us as a society that we have to focus solely on a bit. I think instead we should be focusing more on other things like trying to evolve ourselves, trying to find something new instead of just focusing on the same bit over and over and over and over again. When are we gonna fucking wake up?
That's wise. Welcome back to Double Dip Draft. It is Season 8. I am your host, Spood, coach of the Southtown Sandslashers, and joining me for the Magma Division draft analysis is...
the captain of Bayou Belly Bolts, White Loaf.
Newly renamed, newly minted.
Yep. Fresh bit incoming.
Walked out of Loafville with your bindle, your little sticking bandana, and you wound up in the bayou.
I went to go play banjo in the bayou. I'm sitting up in a tree right now. I'm looking out at a gator. It is actively trying to eat my young.
That's fantastic. We are here to analyze the 8 beautiful bouncing baby Blairs in the Magma division, and we got some whoppers. We got a lot of high dollar Pokemon in this division. Actually, when we were looking over it, it's just like there are 9-pointers everywhere. You can't wait 5 seconds without finding a 9-pointer. So.
Yeah.
It'll be fun to talk about, and I think we're going to go ahead and jump into it from the top. We have got Snake of the Miami Milotics returning for, I believe, his second season in Double Dip Draft. I think last season he actually did make it to playoffs, too, off his first season.
I believe so.
That'll be something I'll have to go double check.
It's been a hot minute.
Miami Milotics placed, yes, 9th place in Season 7 and 5th in Godly Cheese, making it to playoffs in both. So,
there we go.
Yeah, Snake, a very solid, very consistent competitor. Coming back for the second season, that means they'll actually get onto the power ranking this time around as well. So,
yes, exciting.
Very exciting. He has brought, I'll go ahead and just rattle off the draft, and then I'd love to hear your insights about it. We've got Golden Go, Chi-Yu, Dragonite, Terra Captain Serena, Male Basculegion, Scrafty, Bellybolt, Honchcrow, Mudsdale, and Tinkatuff.
Yeah, so those are some very threatening Pokemon. Golden Go and Chi-Yu together, like, that is a match made in heaven. Golden Go hates having to go up against Chi-Yu, so having Chi-Yu as your pet goldfish, that is a fantastic combo right there.
Having Golden Go and never having to worry about fighting against Chi-Yu is very nice.
Yeah. One thing I do think about this team is this is a team that really appreciates webs, but has no way of setting up webs or really even controlling the opponent's speed that much at all.
Yeah, I think maybe Honchcrow gets Tailwind, but even Tailwind is kind of a niche application, right? It's not like it's Prankster or anything. Unlike Murkrow, which does have Prankster Tailwind.
Yeah.
But, yeah, this team, when you think about stuff like Golden Go and Chi-Yu, kind of where their weaknesses lie is in their speed. Like, they have pretty mediocre speed. Chi-Yu at that base 100, Golden Go a little bit short of base 100 even. But Golden Go...
93 or something like that?
Yeah. So Golden Go is, very versatile, and it can do a lot of things. It can be bulky and annoying, but it can also, nasty plot and make it rain and shadow ball and recover and just be a huge pain. And it's way better at that if the entire enemy team is slower than it. And obviously Chi-Yu, you love running Specs Chi-Yu. That's the meme, right?
Yep. Specs Chi-Yu just melting everything around it.
Yeah, just show calc on screen of Chi-Yu doing 700% to something with Specs in the sun. But Chi-Yu doesn't have sun support here, and it also doesn't have web support, so you're probably going to see Chi-Yu pigeonholed into doing, Choice Scarf every once in a while, or maybe even running that sort of gimmicky Flame Charge set. And, I don't know, I think Chi-Yu could definitely perform better with different support, and honestly, I would, if I were Snake, I think just making one good trade, grabbing something that has, web support, or maybe even just, some kind of Prankster Sunsetter or something, Like, I think that would help the draft a lot, because you can really press the Chi-Yu advantage if you build right.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking at the rest of their team, though, you know, I love that there isn't really too much room for status spreading here. Golden Grow obviously blocks status. Scrafty with Shed Skin can shed, you know, whatever status you do inflict on it. If you do go for stuff like poison, you know, Tinkertuff can always block that. Just very solid, like, all around, like, being able to, like, just shut down other people's shenanigans.
Yeah, very sturdy team. You know, you love, like, Dragonite multi-scale. You know, Serena has Queenly Majesty, so it kind of disincentivizes people spamming, like, Ice Shard or something like that. Like, there's a lot of cool synergies on Snake's team, and it's what I think is interesting about it is it's a very round team. It's a very rounded team that has a lot of little micro synergies, but there's no one like strategy that he's leaning into. Like, you can change what you're doing week to week pretty fundamentally. Like, the 2 Golden Goes are never really going to be exactly the same.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, Dragonite has a lot of flexibility. Scrafty has a lot of flexibility. Mudsdale has a decent amount. Bellybolt, yeah.
Bellybolt showed a lot. It can do a lot last season, you know.
Yeah.
little sad about that one, but, you know, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Bellybolt coached by a very handsome person last division, but, you know, I think, you know, good hands this season. I'm looking forward to seeing what Snake can make Bellybolt do, and I do like Bellybolt as a slow pivot into something like Chi-Yu or Golden Go, because
I agree, yeah.
Yeah, love getting those things safely and just going nutso. And again, like, you know, Chi-Yu may be afraid of something like a fighting type move. Golden Go does great at disincentivizing that. You know, scared of a ground type move. Dragonite does a great job of disincentivizing that. You know, maybe annoyed by opposing bulky fires. Well, Bastion Legion's got you covered. Mudsdale's got you covered. So, like I said, lots of really cool little micro synergies, but no one, like, this is not a Webs offense team. This is not a semi-stall team. This is not a Sun Chi-Yu team. It is just kind of a little bit of a lot of different things.
Yep. What is it? Master of None.
Jack of all trades.
Yep. Jack of all trades, yeah, there we go.
So, interested to see how this one goes. You know, only a 10 Pokemon draft, the minimum required amount to finish the season, and I think is only one of 2 people in this division that wound up only ending with 10. So, limited flexibility in terms of, like, the literal exact Pokemon week to week, but in terms of the sets, I think you're going to see a lot of variety.
I agree.
Well, I would love for you to introduce us to the next person. We'll toss it back and forth, introducing people.
Yeah, up next is going to be Cabral, captain of the Slinging Aegislashers. I'm going to quickly, like, run down through their team, and then you can run us through some of the history. We have Vaporeon, Blaziken, Orthworm, Zoroark Hisui, Shedinja, Morpeko, Rampardos, Regice, Zygarde 10%, Muck, and Arboliva.
Terra Captain Arboliva, in fact.
Yeah, Terra Captain Arboliva. Sorry, yeah. Terra Captain Rampardos, Terra Captain Regice, and Terra Captain Arboliva.
Yeah, which I think are great Terra Captains. I think Arboliva is very slept on, and Regice is just, like... That thing is reconculous. I used it a couple seasons back, and even with the mono ice typing, that thing can, in front of the right team, just sit there forever. It is so bulky.
Terra Regice is going to be even scarier.
Oh, yeah. So, Cabral Hatchling Aegislashers, he's back now for his 5th main season, 6th if you count Extra Cheesy. You know, he has got a very solid resume. He is a semi-regular appearance in playoffs, and even the times he didn't go to playoffs, he still wound up with a 3-4 record, so he has never not been a playoffs contention player, and I think this time around this season, where you don't have IDM in the mix, and you also have a lot of people who are pretty new to the format, I think you're going to see these sort of mid-level players like Cabral doing, like, exceptionally well. Like, this is fertile soil for these people to get into playoffs with really good records, I think.
Yeah. And it's going to be a very dangerous matchup against Cabral, because, you know, the combination of Shedtail Orthworm into Blaziken has so much scary potential.
It's actually crazy, yeah. Orthworm has a lot of friends here. It's allowed to shed tail. It's a bulky, slow shed tail user. And the fact that it can go into Blaziken and Zygarde 10, those are both, like, actually just really crazy good Pokemon.
Yeah. And then Terra Captain, Rampardos, we can, insert calc of Terra Rock, Head Smash Rampardos against, any Pokemon that doesn't resist it.
Yeah, this was my meme calc that I ran was, and it's too bad because Deoxys Defense isn't even in this division, but a Terra Rock Choice Band Rampardos Head Smash, so you don't need to, like, set up a Sword Stance or anything. You can send this out and in one turn get this damage. Always one-shots a max HP, max defense Deoxys Defense, which is just like, what are you talking about?
It's revolting.
Rampardos' weakness obviously being that it's pretty slow and pretty frail, but it has that just absurdly high attack stat. But now, between being able to Terra out of the mono rock typing and also having Shed Tail support, this thing can actually, I think, get a couple of huge head smash snipes this season. I would be very afraid of it, especially from team building.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, synergy with Hisui's Zoroark as well, being able to play mind games with your opponents never hurts either.
Yeah, and this team has mind games, dude. I mean, just literally, Hisui and Zoroark Shedinja back-to-back is so annoying. Like, come on now.
Yeah. Cabral, always a fan of doing some funny shenanigans.
He's got some real goofball energy, and you'll notice he did first pick Vaporeon again. He lost it last season to Mass, who stole it, just kind of to spite him. And this season, actually, shockingly, a lot of people in on Vaporeon. Vaporeon stock's going up. It has access to, since we're in Nat decks, its full Cleric moveset. It's got Calm Mind, Wish, Flip Turn. It's got all the bulky water staples, and then all of the Evolution staples. And it's just better at everything that it's always been good at doing. So, yeah, I think this team between, like, Vaporeon, Earthworm, like, slow pivots, Morpeko fast pivots, and then, like, Zygarde and Speed Boost Blaziken, like, it's a really scary team.
Yeah, it is. It's probably one of the most frightening teams, like, from, like, a team building perspective, at least alone.
Yeah. I think there are a couple of things that could be touched up on. Like, I don't really like Shedinja on this comp. I don't think it really accomplishes, like, that much.
Yeah. It's also not too much hazard spinning, or hazard removal either.
Yeah, Morpeko can spin.
I think that's it.
I think that's it, actually, yeah. I'm pretty sure Morpeko can spin it, that's it. So, I mean, at least he's got something, but, he's not, like, that afraid of hazards necessarily. Well, no, that's a lie. He is afraid of hazards because he's going to do a lot of slow pivots, and he wants, like, Earthworm needs to be over 50 to use a Shed Tail to pass, and obviously, if, you get, like, Poison Spikes, or, Toxic Spikes up, and Blaziken comes in and gets poisoned or something, then it's on a timer for its, like, Swords Dance, Speed Boost, Substitute Sweep, so it's just something to be very aware of.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But I think that's pretty much all there is to say about the Slinging Aegislashers. Going forward, we've got Kenneth, coach of the washed-up Wishiwashis, returning for his, like, 5th or 6th season. I'll have to double-check that here in a second, but Kenneth, when we talk about Cabral being, like, playoffs contender, Kenneth has never been out of playoffs except for his very first season. He has been remarkably consistent and strong. He's just been pretty much a lifelong Smogon singles player. He's been playing since, like, Gen 5 of, like, shoddy battle Pokemon Online. Like, he's old blood. And his team is as follows, and this is in drafting order, so note the fact that Ribombee is the first thing he grabbed, because, webs are just that good, especially in Nat decks, especially in draft. So, you got Ribombee, Baxcalibur, Keldeo, Crocodile, Poltegeist, Terra Captain Delmise, Low-Kicks, Mega Banette, Electros, Cramorant, Garbodor, and Chatot. That's
one of the few people to draft all 12 Pokemon, by the way.
That's true, yeah. Very uncommon. I mean, you'd see most of the people are basically on 10 or 11. A lot of people were running out of points, by the end of the draft, and ended up short a few Pokemon. I know that I was planning personally to wind up with 11, and just because of Snipes, I ended up consolidating it to 10. But it kind of no such compunction. You'll see there's no 10-pointers on this team and only one 9-pointer, but the spread is, like, really good. Ribombee's so strong, especially at 5 points. Frankly, kind of a value pick. I think basically inarguably, like, the best web setter, if I had to guess.
Yeah, I'd say so. At least the most consistent web setter.
Definitely, yeah.
Because you're so fast. You can't be made to flinch because of
shield dust. Yeah,
shield dust. You do have to worry about like pranks or taunt, but like
you can always run a mental herb if you just want the one. Because like webs, you just one time, you just need one successful application of webs, and then it becomes a game of how do I keep my webs up, or have I forced the enemy team to be running like 5 pairs of boots.
And you've got some good spin blockers here. You've got Poltergeist, and we have Delmise, assuming it doesn't Terra right away. Poltergeist, we've seen what Claire can do with this thing. It loves weak armor, it loves Focus Sash, and then it loves to click, store power, just a bunch of,
Well,
bunch of hard-hitting moves.
The thing is, it's got multiple good sets, but, when we were talking about Snake's team earlier, we were like, oh, Golden Go, it's always going to be a little bit different. It can run this kind of wide spectrum of good movesets. Poltergeist is kind of similar, but very different in that it has 2 very different modes of play that are both really strong, but not a lot of in-between. Basically, like you said, Poltergeist is an insanely strong Shell Smash sweeper with access to stored power. And especially if this was bolstered by like a Psychic Terrain setter, it would be especially good at doing that. But it's also very good defensively. It can put up screens, it can use Strength Sap, it can...
Oh, it does get Strength Sap, I forgot about that.
Yeah, no, Poltergeist is actually, when it's being run defensively, it's actually really strong and very difficult to kill. So you're pretty much gonna pick between like investing hard into the Shell Smash sweep or hard into the defensive set.
And then there is, of course, the premier Pokemon on here who absolutely just adores webs. Excalibur. Excalibur. The GOAT. Quite possibly the strongest pseudo-legendary Game Freak has ever made.
I'd agree with that, yeah.
Yeah, like, what is it, like 145 base attack? Decent enough speed. Yeah, you still have to set up like a Dragon Dance. I think you're just short of like base 100, but you're still close.
Yeah. With web support, not really an issue.
Yeah, with web support, that's not an issue. You set up one Dragon Dance, and now like even if something's scarfed, like it's not that much of a threat.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, loaded dice, Icicle Spear,
and Glaive Rush.
Yep, Glaive Rush. It just does so much.
Yeah.
Keldeo also like a really good like webs abuser. Now you have that choice of like being able to run Specs Keldeo, which just does so much damage.
Yeah, because normally Keldeo's in that speed tier where it's faster than most things, so it kind of invites the enemy team to be thinking about like scarfing their Pokemon, but behind webs, it's fast enough that like you don't even need to do counter scarf. You're generally not even going to have to do proactive speed control as long as you have your webs up and you're keeping them up. Like Specs Keldeo can come out and just obliterate stuff with Surf or Hydro Pump or Sacred Sword, I think is what it is.
Yeah, I think it's Secret Sword. I think is what it is.
Very similar move names, but I digress. It's very strong stab moves that are buoyed greatly by having specs and not having to set up and not having to worry about getting speed checked.
Yeah, I'll look it up now. I'm gonna see.
While you do that, speaking of things that don't worry about speed, Low Kicks is a sleeper hit. I actually love Low Kicks a lot. If you're not familiar, it does crazy powerful first impressions and sucker punches, and it also has tinted lens, so even if you resist it, you don't.
Yep. Low Kicks is just an absolute monster, especially for 5 points. Like, it's just so good.
Yeah.
Being able to spam, like, even just, like, U-turn, like, just to keep a momentum.
Yeah. But again, it's another, like, Pokemon that you could just throw a Choice Band onto, and then, like, behind webs, that thing is, like, hitting the craziest, nastiest, like, stab, tinted lens, Choice Banded U-turns, and you can't hit it first,
Mm-hmm. And then there is also Mega Banette behind webs. That thing also very scary.
Yeah.
Having like 165 base power and being able to just freely click like Poltergeist or like Shadow Sneak if something does just barely outspeed it even in webs. And of course, like Prankster, like Will-O-Wisp never hurts. It has Con Guard, so you can run like a weird like defensive set too.
Sorry, my cat's being very annoying right now, so I had to leave you to,
you're
to
good.
do that. But yeah, there's a lot of sort of general purpose application. Now I'm holding my cat. Oops. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Mega Banette is a sleeper hit. Very, very strong. You know, I think Cramorant could benefit from webs. Gardener's kind of general, you know, grounded poison support. Does different stuff than Muck, and has a couple different options for being annoying. And Chatot is kind of a gimmick, but, you know, does get Chatter, Boom Burst, so there's that.
Never hurts.
Never hurts, definitely not.
Yeah.
Why don't you introduce us to the next team, huh?
Yeah, our next team is going to be Spoopman, captain of the Heerlen Hawluchas. Once again, going in pick order, we do have our first pick, which is Blissey, and then Terra Captain Aggron, Mega Garchomp, Tyranitar, Gigalith, Dracozolt, Shuckle, Terra Captain Cradily, Runerigus, Terra Captain Armaldo, Sandslash, and Tyrantrum.
Spoopman's team, very interesting because it does have a leftover point. One of, I think, 2 people who just opted to not spend all of their points and hold on to it for maybe, like, you know, making trades a little easier if they happen. But another 12 Pokemon team right after Kemet.
Yep.
And
I think something that is funny is, like, there's only, like, 12 Pokemon teams, and 3 of them are in this division.
It's funny, actually. Yeah, a lot of them are just kind of populating. This division has a lot of variety in the number of Pokemon on the teams, because you see 11, 12, and 10 kind of spread fairly evenly across the entire division. So Magma, interesting on that. Very, we'll say, fiscally inconsistent from the players.
Yeah.
Spoopman's legacy, I mean, speaks for itself. He is currently the defending champ from Double Dip Draft Season 7, where he won 10 straight games without dropping. And he's known for picking up, like, incredibly strong drafts, and, you know, if there is, like, a cheeky sort of legal Pokemon that maybe shouldn't be there, like Zamazenta or whatever, you know, he's usually got it. But this time around, we're kind of seeing the opposite on this team. Like, this team is not that strong, if I'm going to be completely honest. And I think he would probably agree. It's sort of... I mean, looking at it from just the team perspective, like, you've got 2 Sandsetters in Tyranitar and Gigalith, but they serve, like, somewhat similar niches in the team. You've got a great Sand Abuser in Dracozolt, and an okay one in Sandslash, and then, you know, Mega Garchomp, like you say, gets Sand Force when it Mega Evolves, so it gets more powerful in Sand, but in general, this team doesn't have, like, a win con, and it does quite poor into Water and Ice types, where the resistances are either completely non-existent or just, like, one okay resist.
Yeah, it's just... It's... Like you said, like, you know, we have Sand, but just nothing... I mean, like, we have Dracozolt, which I would say is probably, like, the most consistent Sand Abuser in this team. We do know that Spoopman was sniped a lot this season. You know, even like their Terra Captain Aggron, that was supposed to be a Mega Aggron.
That's true.
You know, and you know, I know a lot of their initial plans did wind up getting changed. But you know, this is still like a fairly scary team. You know, I do think, you know, yes, while you do lose the special defense buff, I do think a Terra Aggron is still like a very scary thing to go up against, because that 4 times fighting weakness is now a fighting resist if they go Terra Fairy.
Yeah, or immunity with Terra Ghost or Terra Flying.
Yeah, exactly. Meanwhile, you know, like Body Press is still gonna hurt a lot just because of how high its physical defense stat naturally is.
Yep. And Gigalith also another Pokemon that can just kind of spam a lot of Iron Defense Body Press stuff without much in the way of resistance, although it can't Terra, so it doesn't get the full advantage.
Yeah, and it's also worth knowing, you know, this is another team that does have Sticky Webs, and I think does also appreciate it well. Like, you know, Dracozolt, you don't necessarily have to run in Sand, though it is definitely best in Sand. You can try and run Choice Scarf Hustle shenanigans if you really want to. Well, you know, if you like gambling at least. You know, Runerigus and Sandslash, both good, like, pretty bulky Pokemon that can set up Stealth Rocks. Sandslash has a bit more utility just because it can spin away those rocks as well. And then, you know, like you said, very weak to water, but we do have Cradily with Storm Drain, so we do have a nice water immunity.
Yes. And again, you know, because it's a Terra Captain, it can sort of double up on immunities depending on what you need. But yeah, I mean, like, it's tough because the you know, we were saying earlier, you usually want like sort of an end game in mind for your team, and with Footman's team, the obvious intention is to, you know, facilitate like Dracozolt sweeps or set up sweeping with like Mega Garchomp.
Or even Tyrantrum.
Or Tyrantrum, true. But I mean, Mega Garchomp is going to be the better choice between the two most of the time.
Yeah.
But the thing about that is, like, there's not a lot of synergy that actually kind of supports that playstyle. Like, yeah, you've got webs on Shuckle and, like, set up hazard stuff, but, like, Cradily doesn't really support that. It's just kind of a thing you have to bring sometimes because you get wasted by water moves. Or, you know, Armaldo doesn't really support that in a way that, like, Sandslash doesn't. Blissey doesn't really support that because it can't, you know... Like, there's not a lot of stuff that is, like, super focused on the sand endgame. It's all just kind of like... There's some sand setters, there's some abusers, figure it out, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the point value never goes over 8 for any of these Pokemon, and the only 8-pointer he has is Mega Garchomp, which has its own, you know, set of weaknesses.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, having a Mega that is widely, you know, argued is just absolutely worse in its base form is always a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah, and Mega Chomp is not a bad Pokemon. I mean, it's 8 points for a reason. It's a very strong Pokemon, and Scoot's even used it to great success recently, so...
I do think Webs helps it out a lot.
Yeah, but again, like, what, you know, there's just not a lot that I'm seeing here that excites me on this team. You know, it might be enough to, you know, break through maybe these all-rounder teams that don't have, like, a specific good answer to Sand, but I feel like the counterplay to this feels obvious and doesn't, you know, doesn't need to change a lot. Like, as long as you have strong water or ice abusers, there's really very limited counterplay from Spookman.
I agree.
Also, Ground has got a lot of weakness here. Just a lot of shared weaknesses, a lot of overlapping types. The synergies are, like, kind of there, but nothing that covers the weaknesses enough or thoroughly enough, or, you know, just the weaknesses are so glaring to me that I worry about this team's ability to succeed against other, like, strong players or strong drafts.
I agree.
But he's a good player, you know? He's a good player, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Why don't you tell us about our next team?
We have got the Bekasi Bisharps... I was gonna say posted, oh my goodness. We have got the Bekasi Bisharps coached by Milotics. Definitely the homie, someone that I met pretty recently and who I like a lot, and who is bringing in a pretty interesting sort of level of experience as somebody who is a regular Master Ball tier level VGC player on cart. And we have a couple other, you know, sort of VGC transplants in the Double Dip ecosystem. Like, I believe that was where Snake came from as well originally, and we have a couple of other new players that are coming from, like, an online ranked or VGC background. And Milotics, I think, is probably going to be one of the stronger players coming from that background, given that his draft is really scary, and again, he's sort of a consistent Master Ball tier player. So
we'd love to see it.
Let's break it down, because it's his first season of Double Dip, so there's not much of a pedigree to talk about quite yet. But we can look at his Raging Bolt, his Mega Aggron, Terra Captain Mousehold, Hisuian Samurott, Terra Captain Torterra, Terra Captain Altaria, Volcarona, Pheasantipity, Male Meowstic, Cursula, and Galarian Mr. Mime.
There is no greater fear I feel than looking at this small family of 3 or 4 terrestrializing and hitting me with Population Bomb.
Yeah, Terra Normal, Population Bomb, just... you know, like, that pretty much invites only an opposing, very defensive, like, Terra Captain to go, like, steal a rock or something, you know? There's, like, that just... If you're fast enough and you're in front of something, and maybe even have, like, a Tidy Up in your just, like, +1 attack, Terra Normal, like, Population Bomb is really, really strong. It's really scary.
Yeah. But even just like outside of that, like Raging Bolt, Mega Aggron, Samurott Hisui, those are all like really good picks. Volcarona also, like the setup sweeper.
Yeah.
I really like this this draft because you've got your like very thick wall with Mega Aggron, Raging Bolt. I've used Assault Vest a few times. I like it. Obviously, I think there are better sets, but like, that's a good special wall if you need it. And then Samurai Hasui to just, guarantee at least one layer of spikes, if nothing else.
Yeah, like with Sash, you just, unless you miss,
yeah.
You're always getting at least one layer with Ceaseless Edge, and it's just very spammable, and it's really nice because it's in a division with Golden Go, so, it's very spammable move in general, and Hisui and Samurott, it's just such a strong Pokemon, and I really like it, and it did Growan really well last season.
Yeah.
Mousehold, we already talked about being a strong Terra captain, but Torterra also, again, it gets Shell Smash now, and being able to, Terra out of its Quad Ice weakness while retaining a potential neutrality to water and immunity to electric, like, Torterra being able to cover its own weaknesses and also having a pretty decent, like, splashable type without Terra, like, that thing is going to be very hair-pullingly infuriating from a team-building perspective. Like, if you leave the gap open, Torterra could just sweep you or be impossible to kill.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, Terra Torterra.
Torterra captain.
Yeah. Just absolutely terrifying. And then even if you do manage to, get rid of Torterra, like, before it can, like, sweep your entire team, odds are it's probably whittled you down enough to where Volcarona can come in and finish the sweep.
Yeah, and Volcarona is so strong, and Meowstic is such a good screen setter as well, with his Prankster. He's even got Galarian Mr. Mime, which does get screen cleaner, so it'll auto-remove opposing screens if an opponent brings those. So he's actually got very strong field control, he's got multiple solid spinners, good Terra captains, good bulk, good hazard setters on his end, and of course, he's got the sweepers and cleaners to have like a very scary endgame. So I love this draft. I'm just like a really big fan of it in general. I just really like it.
I will say, like, looking at the first three Pokemon, I'm like, yeah, this is a VGC player. I can see it.
Yeah, the Mousehold especially, it's just like, oh, okay. That's VGC guy. No, just really great draft. I'm really excited to see this play.
Yeah, and Pheasant Deputy, like, it's got enough to just be, like, a little annoying. It's a very much, like, a kind of like a niche and, like, kind of, like, gimmicky set, but, like, it's still there. What is it? Like, it's, like, Toxic Chain, like, beat up is what Kenneth ran, right?
Yeah, that was the thing that he liked, because it just gives you a lot of opportunities to poison things, and it's a grounded poison, so it can remove spikes, or, toxic spikes automatically just by switching in, and of course it has that fairy poison coverage, so it's very good into dragons and into fairies. So, yeah, Pheasant Deputy's pretty splashable. I wasn't personally, like, that impressed by it, but it definitely has its niches. The thing that I honestly don't trust in this draft is, like, I doubt Cursula is even going to show up to anything, let alone do anything,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, I think that is going to be a Pokemon that just kind of, like, is mostly just there to, like, alright, well, I've at least got 10 Pokemon now.
It's just a cheap ghost, it's a spin blocker technically, and, it has access to, like, some tools. It's just so slow and, like, not really that defensive. It's definitely less defensive than its pre-evolution Galarian Corsola. And yeah, just in general, I don't know. I don't know if we're going to see Cursula used to great success, but then I'd love to eat my own words. I like the Pokemon, but I don't trust it.
If we had, like, another Pokemon, like, instead of Trick Room, I could maybe see it coming out, just because then, like, it is so slow.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, it's got 145 special attack, so there's
it does
that.
Hit, yeah. It does hit hard.
Yeah. But yeah, I think without, like, that Trick Room setup, we're not going to see it a lot.
Yeah, I agree. But it's a cool draft, and I'm looking forward to it, and I think there's some cool synergies, and just, like, a lot of the, he's already shown what I think is a pretty high, understanding of, like, what is good in draft, and what kind of tools it's good to have. So I'm excited to see what he brings to the table.
Yeah, same here. All right, moving on. Up next is DuDanishDunsparce, coached by Anchor. Going down once again in order, we have Mega Swampert, we have Politoed, Grimmsnarl, Quillfish, Kartana, Sceptile, Heliolisk, Emolga, Gengar, Turtonator, Paracaptain Flittle, and Toxicroak.
Anchor is another player that is new to Double Dip, as you'll hear said quite a lot of times through all of these draft analysis videos, because there are a lot of brand new players this season. Anchor is somebody who doesn't come from a specifically competitive background, but is somebody who's done a lot of sort of Nuzlocking, Soul Linking, I know Anchor just plays a lot of Pokemon, so we're going to have to see how that sort of primarily single-player Pokemon experience maps to competitive Pokemon and by extension, like Draft League, which I think is a bit more of a friendly environment to kind of come to grips with this stuff, because there's a lot of stuff that's weird about Draft, but when you're just thrown into the thick of learning 1,000 Pokemon and everything that they do and all of the gimmick cheese, I think just going, 10, 12 Pokemon, whatever, per week and having to just figure out what those things do, I think it's a good format for people who are coming from a lot of in-game experience to play.
I agree. But looking at their draft, they at least know enough that Rain good. Rain powerful.
There are two strict Rain teams in this entire league right now, and Anchor has one of them. The other one is Pelipper Arch, which is really good. Barraskewda, Ludicolo on that team. But then this team is Mega Swampert, Politoed, Heliolisk, Toxicroak.
You got Kartana.
Yeah, well, and Kartana benefits from Rain, but isn't generally seems like a Rain abuser. But Kartana, obviously, with its quad weakness to fire, would love to make that just a normal weakness to fire, especially physical fire-type moves that it actually could live, given its, defensive posture. It is also not lost on either of us that Sceptile is a Shed Tail passer and would do quite well to send that to Mega Swampert or to Kartana to facilitate an endgame sweep, or even in some situations I can see Gengar or, God forbid, Flittle inheriting, a Shed Tail sub and making good use of it.
What do you mean Flittle's a goat? That is the most powerful Pokemon. I don't know why we even allowed that thing.
True.
To be banned.
For one point, I mean, so let's be real. Flittle, pretty awful. It does one thing badly, basically, but it is a baby, and it is something that if you completely ignore it at team building and you don't have a dark type or a decent resist, it can. I mean, it doesn't take that long for the speed boost and Calm Mind combo with support to actually make the stored power quite powerful.
Yeah, and we do have support. We already talked about Sceptile. We do have Grimmsnarl with both Reflect and Light Screen
and Parting Shot even to get it in.
And Parting Shot. You've got Quillfish to pass Intimidate as well.
And support with Toxic Spikes and regular spikes.
Yep. So I mean, you've got a lot of support for a lot of different setups. Politoed Mega Swampert is the most easy setup. Kartana, actually, I would maybe argue Kartana is maybe an easier setup because you can just send that out and have it click buttons and it gets a kill.
Yeah, Kartana is never not good, and if you even if you just go into the Double Dip archives, you can you don't have to look very long until you find Kartana swept that team and that team and that team and that team. It's just really, really strong, and that Beast Boost Snowball is just crazy, and it's fast and strong enough that it's just such a good abuser. It's just so strong, it's just a good sweeper and breaker, and it doesn't have to try that hard to do either.
Yeah. And something else I actually kind of like is Heliolisk. Heliolisk here can actually take advantage of any weather. So if they know someone's going to bring sun, they can actually bring Heliolisk to counter that with solar power.
That's true.
And get more power from that even outside of rain. Or it can, of course, run Dry Skin and now have a free water immunity.
Yeah, and passive, leftover style healing in rain, even without the immunity, if it doesn't need to use it. And obviously, like you say, this division does have at least one opposing weather in sand, and it can also do stuff in sand, I think.
I think it has Sandvale, which I don't.
Which is not legal in this league, so never mind.
Yeah.
Never mind. Can't do anything. But in theory, it would be like splashable. But yeah, I like this team. I think it's good. I think, if I'm being honest, I think it's probably worse than the other Rain team in the league, which is like Shamal, the Golden Gate Gibbles. Again, he's got Pelipper, Archelodon, Barraskewda, which is like the absolute textbook like Rain team. But Polytoad Mega Swampert is no slouch. Polytoad is not like Pelipper. They both set up Drizzle, but they both do different things, and they're good at the things they do. Polytoad is actually a very solid Whirlpool Parish Trapper. And it can enable these sweeps with Mega Swampert, for example, if it can get in front of and trap a counter to Mega Swampert. Or maybe in an endgame scenario, Polytoad can just throw out like a Parish Song and then just, spam Protect, right? So, Polytoad is actually pretty versatile, pretty annoying, even outside of its Drizzle. And again, that Drizzle, it powers up everything. You can slide in like a Swift Swim Quillfish instead of Intimidate if you just want like a cheeky, fast Quillfish. Or, again, like if you just need a little bit of extra fire resist on Kartana to make it live, some physical fire type move. Rain does that just passively. Rain, it even makes Sceptile bulkier to pass that Shed Tail easier. So,
oh yeah, true. I didn't even think about that.
There's a lot of stuff here, but it is just like textbook Rain. If there were anything I would be kind of generally concerned about, there is a lot of ground weakness and not a lot of neutrality or immunity on this team to it. But, the team isn't really that concerned with being bulky and staying alive. It is really all about, like, the bulk comes from the screens and the parting shot pivots, and it's all about Grimmsnarl, Polytoad, Quillfish, whatever, getting in Mega Swampert, Kartana, Gengar.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's a very solid draft, but yeah, the ground weakness definitely hurts. Or not weakness, but ground is always just a good offensive type.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of counterplay to it here.
Everybody's going to have a ground type, more or less. That's like draft, and frankly, just competitive Pokemon 101. It's like, if you don't have a ground type, you're kind of just at a disadvantage. And so obviously Anchor, Water Ground on Swampert, I'll say, it speaks for itself. It's so strong. It negates the electric weakness that Water would otherwise have with a full-on immunity, which makes Grass worse, but I think exchanging like a type weakness for an immunity and then just doubling a different type weakness is pretty much always a good investment. That's why things like Dragon Ground are so strong, because you get so many resistant immunities with that typing that being extra weak to ice is like, yeah, whatever, sure, I'll take that. Like, that's always pretty much going to be a good trade.
Yeah, I agree. All right. You about ready to move on to our next one?
Yes, I am. And I think I actually have to introduce this one, don't I? Yeah. So, sorry, I was waiting for you to do it, but it was me!
Oh, no, you're good. It's your turn.
Yes, okay, so our 7th team in the Magma division is Eevee Inc., coached by Mechura. He has got Sylveon, Jolteon, Terra Captain Glaceon, Espeon, Flareon, Mega Gyarados, Terra Captain Eevee, Ditto, Ursaluna Blood Moon, Steelix, and Typhlosion.
I love commitment to the bit. There are technically three Pokemon on this draft.
Yeah. So, there are a couple holes in the team building. But it's pretty obvious just looking at the draft what the point is. The point is not to make a playoffs-ready, consistent draft. It is, I'm going to draft Eevees until there's no more Eevees, and then I'm just going to pick up whatever. And, he did spend all his points, and, the thing about the Eeveelutions is that they're pretty much all good for different applications.
I would say, like, Jolteon and Espeon are both, like, really good. Like, Jolteon, like, a very, like, premier, like, fast special attacker. Espeon Magic Bounce is good to get rid of hazards. Terra Captain Glaceon is actually a pretty good pick.
Yeah.
I do really like Terra Captain on this thing. Because it's got decent defensive like stats, just not like a good defensive typing.
Yeah.
And Sylveon,
it's great. It's just really, really good. That Calm Mind, Pixelate Hyper Voice, and they're all pretty splashable onto other teams. Like, it's really easy to fit an Eeveelution into most of the things you're doing. It's just, if your whole team is Eeveelutions, like, you better hope that all of the specific niche applications that they have, like, overlap perfectly to fight your opponent's team, otherwise they're all just going to get folded, right? Like, none of these Pokemon are really that great into, like, a ground type, for example. None of them are that, you know... Like, the really defensive ones, which are Vaporeon and Umbreon and Sylveon to an extent, Vaporeon and Umbreon are both not here. They both got snapped up by other players, so...
Yeah.
Mekura's team, you know, is definitely missing them. And obviously, you know, should be said, like, yeah, Eevee is not a real Pokemon, you know?
Yeah.
If it were, like, partner Eevee, maybe, but, like, as it stands, this is just regular Eevee, and he doesn't have Extreme Evo Boost or Gigantamax or any of that stuff to boost it. It's just a little baby.
Just a little baby boy. That being said, you know, this team is not missing Clerics at all, and, you know, the Pokemon that, you know, aren't EVs, do appreciate Cleric support. You know, Mega Gyarados, like, that is a deceptively bulky Pokemon, but more importantly, just a very hard-hitting Pokemon. Ursaluna Blood Moon, also a really good, like,
good.
Offensive special attacker.
I had it for 2 weeks last season, and it won both of the games I brought it to, so I mean, it was really, really strong.
Yeah,
loses to Marshtomp, notably. I learned, but, you know.
Oh, yeah. Steelix, you know, a good physical wall. And then Typhlosion can get some stuff done. You know, like Scarf Eruption is never bad. Well, yeah, as long as you outspeed your opponent at least.
Yeah, I mean, it could be bad.
Yeah. Yeah, and also a fire immunity with Flash Fire. That is also pretty nice.
Yeah. But Flareon can run Flash Fire. Why do you need it?
You're running Guts.
I mean, like, looking at this team, like, the thing is, it's almost something. Like, I could see it actually winning 1 or 2 games just between Mega Gyarados, Ditto, Ursaluna, right? And maybe, like, 1 or 2 evolutions actually doing something in the match, right? Like, maybe a good Terra Captain Glaceon match, or a good Sylveon match, or, hell, even a good Espeon match.
Yeah.
Those things can just, like, kind of win. So, like... I don't want to just totally count Mekura out, but it's gonna be hard. I mean, just with the team comp, it's gonna be a constant uphill battle, and you know, he's always gonna have to make up for the weak team with just like god level plays. But
yeah,
you know, again, I think that's just like the point. Like, you know, we're taking it maybe a little too seriously because he's just here to have fun, fill out a seat. He's here for Aurora's sake, and you know. Hopefully he has fun, you know, he picked up all the Eevees, and hopefully, you know, whatever happens, he gets to be surrounded by his little fluffy guys.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, that's all you can ask for.
That's true.
Alright, ready to move on to our final team?
Let's hear it.
Our final team is Puppytown Ponytas, led by Avacorn. Am I pronouncing that right?
Eva probably is closer,
Eva.
But yeah, we'll see.
Evacorn, okay. Either way, going once again in order, we have Weavile, Mega Scizor, Komodo, Heatran, Rotom Wash, Whimsicott, Donphan, Noctowl, Galarian Rapidash, and Shiinotic.
Yeah, this is, again, another brand new player to double dip, and someone whose competitive experience, frankly, I just have no idea. I don't know to what extent Eva plays competitive Pokemon, or to what extent she knows it. But what this looks like to me, if I had to guess, it would be, oh, Eva loves Gen 7 OU.
Yeah. Really enjoys Gen 7 OU, specifically when Tapus are not around.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
This team's like point distro is crazy because it's just like 8, 7, 8, 7, 6, 5, 2, 2, 2. So it's just like basically you're gonna see the same like 5 Pokemon basically every week.
Yeah, I would be very surprised if you did not see like the first 5, almost every single game. Maybe like 1 or 2 of them aren't there because of like specific matchups, but like for the most part, I think you'll see those first 5 like almost every game, and then it's a toss-up between like Whimsicott or Donphan.
Yeah, and honestly, you know, there's a lot of fairies on this team. You know, Whimsicott, Shiinotic, and Galarian Rapidash all sharing the fairy typing, and Shiinotic and Whimsicott in particular being grass fairies, you know, invites a lot of poison into the team. But being able to have Heatran and also Mega Scizor, like, that's kind of okay, you know? Like,
Yeah.
again, the reason why, like, Gen 7 OU team is what it looks like is because it's a good thing to have. Like, again, very similar to Snake's Draft. Very splashable. Very general purpose. Like, all of these things, you know, there's a good amount of variety you can run on things like Como and Heatran and Mega Scizor and even Rotom Wash. You know, you could bring it super bulky, annoying Pain Split. You could bring it like Scarf, Volt Switch, Pivot. You know, Mega Scizor can be like a Roost set or a Pivot set, or you know, it can do a lot of different things. Heatran can do a lot of different things. You know, it can be Scarf, it can be Specs, it can be, you know, like bulky defensive, like Flame Body. So there's like stuff. You know, Como has like fucking 3 different ways it can set up, like that are all really really good. So, like I say, I don't think there's like a particular endgame strategy or team archetype that she's going for here, but what she has is just like rock solid.
I mean, Mega Scizor and Heatran is a really good combination. You know, Mega Scizor hates fire types. Heatran loves fire types. Weavile can deal with any ground types that might come in, though it has to, you know, be able to take a hit.
And Rotom Wash can get Weavile in with, like, switching and Levitate immunity and then slow pivoting out with Volt Switch.
Exactly what I was going to say, yeah. And on top of that, you know, it can defog and can set up Will-O-Wisp. It's got, like, pretty good synergy, honestly, like, these first 5 Pokemon. Como hates fairy types. Heatran, again, adores fairy types. All in all, like, I think this is like a really solid. I think the biggest thing for me that hurts this draft is just no Terra Captain. It's not something that like kills it, but it does mean that like, okay, I don't have to try and guess that someone's going to, you know, bring like Galarian Rapidash and have it be like a secret fire type or something. I know exactly what's going to be brought type-wise, so I can just be prepared for that.
Yeah. I don't know. They're just all really good at covering each other's weaknesses, and Whimsicott can enable some different playstyles with, like, you know, maybe screens or even, like, some weird prankster cheese. I've seen Whimsicott. I don't know, something about Whimsicott just feels like it invites, like, the weird, like, ring target or, you know, heavy ball or whatever. Like, you know, there's always some weird, like, thing that Whimsicott's capable of doing, so.
Yeah.
I just like the team. It's kind of too bad there's not much more to say about it because, you know, it speaks for itself. It's just a good Gen 7 team.
Yeah, it's just very solid.
I think that's pretty much it. I think that's all we have to say about the Magma division. I think it's shaping up to be super interesting and very competitive, because looking at this, you know, I have my ideas about, like, what the top 2, maybe top 3 is going to look like relatively consistently. I could not tell you with any sort of confidence what the top 4 is going to look like.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. I'm very interested to see how, like, each of our new players, like, compete. I'm, of course, also interested to see how our veterans compete as well. You know, it's been a hot minute, but I imagine, you know, everyone's been keeping up their skills at least somewhat. I'm really curious to see how these matches shape out.
Yeah, I think we're really going to be surprised by some people. You know, I think that, you know, it looks so much more doable than it ever has. You know, our mid-tier players are looking great. Our top-tier players are looking a little beatable. And our new players just, like, everybody feels like they've got a little bit of a chance. So I really like this division, and I'm very excited to keep up with it as the matches come through.
Same here.
But I suppose that's all we have to share with the people. I would highly recommend you go and check out one of the 3 other draft analysis videos that are going to be coming out alongside this one. Definitely consider checking out Aqua, Skull, and Rocket division analysis if you want to learn more about those divisions. Why don't I recommend you start in Skull if you want to hear about my funny little dolphin guy?
Or if you want to see a funny bear and a deer do things, you could check out Team Aqua.
That's true, but I wouldn't recommend plugging Team Aqua on the Team Magma video. They might get kind of mad about that, so.
Aqua for life. Water everywhere.
No, there's land under the water. It doesn't make any sense.
No, more water. Just bury the land.
Get out of here. Go watch a different Double Dip Draft video and stay tuned for more high-octane, high-temperature Magma coverage.
Kyogre for life.